Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our weekly commodities update. This is where I do multiple time frame analysis and we look at key levels as well as support and resistance levels for natural gas, oil, US dollar, gold, and silver. We'll be looking at their support and resistance levels as well as where the most likely scenario where price might potentially head to later this week. And if you guys are looking for the stock market update video on the Qs, S&P 500, and the MAX 7s, check out the video from yesterday and let's get started on natural gas. So right now on natural gas, we are looking at the daily time frame. So let's start with the higher time frame first and go down to the lower time frame. So we talked about this megaphone looking pattern and for I think a couple weeks, and it's just been testing support over and over, bounce, and try to bounce again here on Monday, but ended up breaking through that. So that's a bear break of the pattern, and so let's delete this megaphone now. But currently it's still acting as a resistance though. So support, right? Support along the way, bounced like 78 times. Now on Friday, it's acting as a resistance. So there's actually a lot of confluence of support and resistance right in this cluster. So it's kind of like a really big battle zone. So right, you can see right now, right, the tick high of the day on Friday is literally the support line now becoming resistance. So bare minimum for bulls, you want to break above Friday's high for potentially move back closer to this 3.85 level, which is where we can't get over, right? We broke down. This is acting as support, bounced, broke below it. First test, couldn't get over at 3.85. Rejects again, right? And it comes down lower. So that's the key level for me. Bare minimum for bulls, get over 3.85. And like we zoom out a little bit. Let's go to the weekly chart. So weekly chart, right? This longer term support is still acting as support, right? Bounce, 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 bounce. Broke through it, but ended up closing the week within it. So that is a hold of the support currently. I don't really like it as much up here as a bull due to us having a weekly downtrend here, right? So top of the move to bottom move, that's one initial move, right? One initial move here, bounced, made the lower high here and a lower low. So breaking parallel as a weekly downtrend. And I talked about this a while back as well when we first confirmed the weekly uptrend here, right? Bottom move to top of the move, retrace, higher low being set, right? Higher low means the low is higher than the prior low, and a higher high, right? Meaning the high is higher than the prior high, is like going all the way up here. So it's the first weekly uptrend confirmed right when it broke this pivot right there, in I think it was years, or yeah, at least a year or two, something like that. Very long time. So it was a very big shift there, and then we got this much follow through after that, right? 70% follow through. And we haven't had any kind of a weekly downtrend along this entire way up, right? You can see very clear. Right, weekly uptrend here, pulls back again, higher low, another higher low, another higher high, right? And so very clear weekly uptrends follow through. And this is the first time we got that big move down and then broke this low. So we do have a weekly downtrend confirmed here, right into support. So it's less likely the support holds when this happens, right? Versus when you're in a strong uptrend, it's more likely it's going to hold your supports. So there's a lot of nuances, right, in the charts. It's just not very, not cut and dry, right? The context matters. So, but for now, it's holding on with the sliver. So as long as it holds on and it can bounce back above this prior resistance, right? Bare minimum broke above Friday's high. Then we can start to talk about this around this 3.85 zone right here. Support and resistance is always a zone. It's not a definite number. So we'll see. In terms of bears, you want to crack through this 3.33, which we kind of ticked it. The support, right? It's acting as resistance here for 1, 2, 3 days, and then acted as exactly support, right? Ticked it as well, bounce, bounce. And there's a resistance here. We're below it, price is below it, right? Now price is coming from above into it. So it wants to act as support. At least initially, right? Which it did for now, right? You can see this big move up 10%, but pretty much gave it almost all back. So not that great of a look, but bulls are still holding on to support, right? We are within all these confluences of support at the moment, but no signs of real offense yet. We zoom in, it might look like a 4-hour equilibrium, which is a tightening range, right? Top and bottom move, top of the move, big move up, big move down. Talked about this all the time. Tightening ranges are, it just gets tighter and tighter, right? So if we do bounce here and don't break this high, then we might get something like this, where it gets tight. Price action gets a little bit tight and then breaks out. It did, yeah. Stock market did something similar like this, where it tightened up a little bit and then broke out. But I guess you get the idea, because the move was so big, and I didn't trace almost all of it. Now the most likely scenario is going to be a tiny range. I would count this as one initial move. Like this overall night thing doesn't really matter as much to me. So big move up, big move down. This is literally like an 80% retracement. So chances of it would be something like this. Yeah. Yeah, so far shaping up not much here, right? No offense here played yet. But if we get a move up, then probably we get that topping out around this. If this is going to be equilibrium, we'll probably tighten up around down over here, around this 3.67, and then probably pulls back a little bit, and then we'll see how it shapes up. If it comes up, pulls back a little bit, and then boom, forms a 4-hour uptrend, then we have a chance to break above this high. So let's see how it tightens up first. And nothing much on the 15-minute or anything short time frame, just going sideways. Slightly ascending triangle, but see break bull from this to go to 3.66. All right, if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below, and like, share, and subscribe is always appreciated. Let's take a look at oil. And if you guys are looking for more technical charts, head over to my Patreon link. If you guys are looking for one-on-ones as well, or just book that 15-minute free call. We can talk more about what you need. And let's get going on oil. So oil, bear break, right? Longer term support. We looked at this for many months. Bear break here. Nobody saw this coming, right? It is a news event, right? What's this? 20% drop. Actually, more than that. Let's see. 23% drop, right? Nobody could have predicted this kind of a drop, unless you knew the news was coming. But we did top tick resistance right here before the news event. So, if you're playing off of this resistance, you've been doing pretty well, right? Perfect rejection. Bull break, just kidding, right? Sometimes we get these bull breaks with no fall through, and then act as resistance again, right? Over here you can see again resistance, rejection again, and then perfect tick again right there. But hindsight looks easy, but yeah, we did top tick these double top again both days, Thursday and Friday, 2 weeks ago. But let's take a look at the most recent price action here. So if we zoom out, right, this came all the way down to 55, which is all the way back here, right? Let's go to the weekly chart first. So all the way to these weekly supports, right? Super clear here. Look at all these bottom wicks. Okay, bounce around these like 56 and 55 lows, and this is exactly where we got to. So oil, we've been talking about this for years. It's just going sideways, essentially. If you are like a longer term position trader, you probably position yourself right up here closer to the blue line, and for short, and you probably position yourself down here closer to the bottom for your longs, right? Essentially, it's pretty much exactly a sideways trade if you look at it, right? So no surprises here overall. Currently still going sideways. at the moment. So weekly support held, bounced. Because if we break this, right, we're probably going to the recession. Right, look at this. This is what it looks like when we go to the recession. Because oil is part of the economy, and because something like this on your charts, we know it's prepare for a recession, right? So we don't want to get this kind of a rollover where we could just kind of break everything down. But for now, if it goes sideways, it's okay. Market's still holding. It's kind of a-okay. So let's zoom in to see what any signs of bounces. Yeah, it kind of looks like the market a little bit. Maybe after that Wednesday news, right, where we got that 90-day pause on tariffs, everything got a big bounce. So, which is a good sign for the economy. But we need to break above this triple top, right? Upper wick here on Monday, another level here, goes Tuesday around the 62, right? On Wednesday again, can't get over it on Thursday, 62-ish. Topped out around like 63. Friday, couldn't get over either. So the $62 zone and the 60 break above 62, we're looking at 63. Let's see if we can crack above that. If we can break above that, then we're looking back up to 65 and 66, this level, right? Support, 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 super clear support. So when we do come up to it, we need to break 62 and 63 first, right? These two levels, we're definitely coming up to back test this 65.7 if we can break these two levels. And it will act as resistance, right? Maybe someone come up, hits. If it's a shallow rejection, then we may get a potentially break above it, right? Maybe we get something of a big one. We get a big rejection, then we might look for a tiny range. So we'll see how it reacts up here. For bears, bears, there could be a chance where if we just drop right away on Monday or Tuesday, this could be a tiny range down here. But I don't really see that at the moment. Yeah, we are really close to the upper range. Bears have to. That'll be a 4-hour downtrend. That'll not be a good look for bulls after such a significant pop. So I think the more likely scenario will be something like come up, test 62 and 63, might pull back a little bit, and then we come up to test 65s. And then maybe the bears will show up and form kind of some tiny range, or if it's a shallow pullback, we might even head higher. So let's see. Obviously, very news driven, right? Trump could just come out and drop some more tariff news. Next thing you know, we're down here. So, but technical wise, we are looking at an inverse head and shoulders here, which is a bullish pattern, which is a downtrend into a uptrend. Psychology of it. So let's see. We can break this 60 to 63. And your solid just looks like it almost looks like a penny stock. But we are currently holding weekly supports, fortunately. And yeah, so we zoom out again. We pretty much broke this support and this support, but kind of like lower wicked it and come back right into it. So no signs of bouncing yet. Obviously, very news driven. But we talked about this as well. Even though it's news driven, TA showed us that we are in a daily downtrend and a weekly downtrend. So we talked about this weekly downtrend over here as well. And as long as it continues, it's going to keep going down. Without the news, if I just look at this chart, right, nothing really surprising here. I think I talked about this as well. Clear weekly bear flag. This was kind of going sideways here for many days. So we zoom out to the weekly, right? We measure from top of the move to bottom move, your Fibonacci, and it's not even like right, we barely even touched 38.2%, a yellow box. So super clear weekly bear flag follow through. Nobody knew it was going to follow through like this, but this was kind of like a sign where very weak bounce, and then the news drop, and then here we go. So what are we looking at down here? Is no real signs of bounce yet at this moment. See if we get a megaphone here. All right, we get these lower lows, not much follow through for 2 times, so it could be a megaphone. Yeah, let's keep that. So characteristic of a megaphone, which is like this, right? This is what a megaphone looks like. It's lower lows, no follow through. Higher highs, no follow through. So it likes to go like that. Higher high, no follow through, and it's just kidding, comes down. Lower low, no follow through. That'd be like the worst case for traders. If it bounces between there, but for now, right? Makes a new low here, no follow through. Makes another new low here. So far, I don't want to say no follow through, but we because we can just get another leg down and we can call it a follow through, right? So when we do bounce, we get like a 4-hour uptrend here. Then I would say this is a no follow through at the moment. In terms of the megaphone from the top, wow, picture perfect. See this. Bounce. Sorry, reject, higher high, another higher high, another higher high. All right, we'll keep that for the longer term outlook for the dollar. So the dollar is currently megaphoning. And this longer term support and resistance. So if it do bounce, right, we want to see if this is going to be the bottom. We will see a structural change. We will see like a daily uptrend form, right? Which we haven't this entire way down. No daily uptrends here. Obviously, we're going to get the 4-hour first. So it'll be like a 4-hour bounce and like a 4-hour uptrend, kind of like this, right? The mini 4-hour uptrend here. Here's a small 4-hour uptrend here, which ends up being a rollover or nothing. But we want to see at least bare minimum, same thing for our uptrend here. Then we can zoom out to the daily. And if we get a daily uptrend here, then that'll be the first daily uptrend since this entire move way down, right? You see, this is what a daily uptrend looks like, right? And then broke right here, that daily uptrend. Come a daily downtrend here, and then just follow through. So if we get a daily uptrend here, then I'm looking back up closer to this 103 mark. So maybe something like this, right? Hits here first, 101, rejects, boom, daily uptrend confirms, comes up to 102, and then we have a chance to come up to 103. Then I'm looking at this green resistance line. If we do have at least some kind of a bull offense come here, but that would be definitely next week, or it takes about at least 2 weeks. I would say probably 1 or 2 weeks to get there, or 3. We'll see how it bounces. Bulls need to at least show up here. We'll see how it bounces. All right, let's take a look at gold. So yeah, don't short all-time highs. Right, nobody likes shorting all-time highs. I mean, a lot of people do try to want to catch the top, but it's a tough business, right? If you're trying to short all-time highs, right? You could have nailed the top right here, right? Nailed it, absolutely nailed it. And then if you held on to it, right, we just made new all-time high, so which is crazy. So obviously news driven as well, right? We got this everything sell off that week, including gold, and then everyone bought it back due to right, stagflation is good for gold. So there's a lot of fears around that, and it's also safe haven asset. So a lot of people piled back in afterwards. Technical wise, on the daily chart, it looks like this is a bull break out of this rising wedge, right? Very clear rising wedge. Rejection right here. Right? Rejection. Finally broke bull. And then, right, that when the news came out that week, it said, just kidding. Everything kind of just broke. And then it looked like it broke support as well, right? Support. And then now we're back above it. But if you zoom out to the weekly, it looked like it didn't break at all, right? You can see this week's we wicked up, and then we actually closed it within it. So it's funny when you do multiple time frame analysis. It's actually right weekly trend never break below there, and then we came back. The weekly chart never broke this support either, right? You can see support, 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 and then we did wick below it, but we ended up closing not even just within it, we closed above the pattern actually. So no bull break here on that week, on that March, last week of March. It was just upper wick, closed within the pattern still. No bear break here as well this week. So make sure to check your time frames when you do multiple time frame analysis. Very important. And then it bounced off of support. Now this is a bull break. So this week is the actual bull break right here, and we close above it for the week. So what are we looking at now? So all-time highs. We talked about this before. There's no resistance. There's no resistance. Like whatever, right? You can do your fib extensions and all that kind of stuff, but there is nobody bought it here or here, so there's nothing, right? So no resistance at the moment. We could say, yeah. I mean, I could have said there was no resistance here as well, right? Which is prior all-time high, and then we rolled over. Anything could happen. But because we are at all-time highs, look how fast we came back to it, and this was a new driven as well. But at the moment, no signs of red flags, right? Bare minimum for bears, right? At least give me an hourly downtrend, right? They gave me a small hourly downtrend to have any kind of bounces, right? Short-term bulls. If you look at this, EMA 12, this teal looking line, bounce, 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 bounce. So bare minimum for the first shift of any kind of bears, just break the EMA 12 at least, right? Give me like a consolidation. If you are looking for bearish trades, right? I'm just giving you guys ideas. If this is EMA is holding on the hourly, it's absolute bull control. Obviously, at some point, this is definitely going to break. But when it breaks, doesn't mean it's going to go like this, right? It could just be a 4-hour consolidation, right? If it breaks on the hourly, it could just be like a 4-hour consolidation for higher low and higher high. And then next thing you know, we are back to the all-time highs. Or just could be a daily consolidation, right? For all we know, this could be after that EMA breaks, it decides to consolidate on the daily, right? And pulls back, even pull back 38.2%, right? Which is about 3% on the pullback, 38.2% mark. It could still be a bull flag. Next thing you know, right? Go higher. I obviously wouldn't be buying up here blindly either, especially at this price after a 3-day move like this at 10%. But yeah, let's see if it keeps going. All-time highs are usually the best ones to go bullish, ride the momentum. Yeah, if you got in just on the hourly EMAs, right? You see, even if you got in here, you still be riding it at the moment because we haven't broken it yet. All right, so silver. Talked about this for many months, saying I don't like silver because of its relative weakness. You just go look at the chart side by side, right? Gold made this entire move way up. Silver kind of just went sideways, right? Pull up, big pullback, almost gave back all of it, right? Meanwhile, gold gave back only like 30, around 30%. Made a new highs, and silver barely made new highs. Big pullback here, right? It's about like maybe like a 30% of this entire move. Silver went even lower than the bounce, right? Broke this low, which is this low. And then nice V shape though. This is right, but gold made new all-time highs, V shape above this entire drop. Silver bounce half of it. So because of how big it dropped. So I talked about not liking silver as a bull. If you're playing if you're playing a bear, you would look for it to play silver bearish and gold bullish. Yeah. And if you guys like the percentage wise for silver because it moves a bigger percentage, just size up more on gold. For leverage, when you're doing futures, there's no, you don't want to look at the percentage, right? Because you can size up so much easily when you're doing future contracts. So it doesn't really matter that much. Just size up on gold, you get the same amount of gains. Just because this move, right? Just because this moves 13%, you could just size up maybe 1.5 times more on gold, and you would have made more. You would get like 15%, right? This moved 10%. So if you size up 1.5 times more, you would have gone 15%, roughly, give or take, versus trying to play the weaker bull name, right? This could just come up. Next thing you know, reject from this entire structure right here, right? Bounce, bounce, bounce. Broke bear on this rising wedge. Rejection, rejection, rejection. So perfect rising wedge, broke bear. For all we know, we could come up here and then reject as well, right? So, but for now, decent bounce. But if similar idea, if gold takes a break, I say it gets a bull flag here. Gold takes a little breather, just pullbacks a little bit, like a 3% pullback. How is silver going to react? Is silver going to go like this, pull back as well, and then give a bigger pullback when gold does that? That'll be what bears want to see. Call this relative weakness, and we call this relative strength. So play the weaker name for shorts, play the stronger name for longs. Keep things simple, and you have less headaches. All right, that's it for you guys. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great rest of you guys' weekend, and take care. I'll see you guys next week for more updates. And yeah, feel free to comment below if you have any questions.